You'll spend a lot of nights wondering why no one stayed, why your circle got smaller, why it feels like the world stopped clapping the moment you started changing. But that's where growth begins, in the quiet hours when it's just you and your thoughts. When no one texts, no one believes, and yet you keep going because deep down you know the road to becoming something real was never meant to be crowded. Do it alone. That's how you grow. Growth doesn't start when people cheer for you. It starts when they disappear. Most people never realize this truth. They think progress comes from being surrounded by others, friends, mentors, or a perfect system that guides them. But real growth, it's born in silence when no one's watching. Think about it. Every major change in your life probably happened when you were alone, when you made a decision late at night with no applause, when you fell, failed, and no one cared enough to help you back up. That's where transformation begins, inside the loneliness that most people are too afraid to face. Keanu Reeves once said, "Sometimes simple things are the most difficult things to achieve." He wasn't talking about luxury or fame. He was talking about inner peace. After losing people he loved, he chose a quieter path. He built his strength not through crowds or cameras, but through solitude. That's why when you see him smile, it's not loud, it's peaceful. It's the kind of smile that comes from surviving storms no one else saw. The U.S. audience connects to that energy deeply. It's the essence of quiet resilience in a noisy world. But let's bring it down to real life. Maybe you're a student staring at a screen at 2 a.m., trying to figure out your next step. Maybe you're working a job you hate just to pay rent, and your friends stopped calling. You scroll through social media, and everyone else seems happy, successful, loved. And you wonder, why not me? That moment, the ache, the silence, that's your training ground. That's the place where growth begins. Because when no one is there to motivate you, you either collapse or you evolve. Think about Steve Jobs in his garage, Elon Musk sleeping on a factory floor, or Kobe Bryant practicing alone in an empty gym at 4 a.m. Each of them had that same moment of isolation where doubt whispered, "You can stop now, no one will know." But they didn't stop. They stayed when everyone else left. They did it alone. And that's why they grew beyond the ordinary. Solitude is not a curse. It's a test. It asks, can you stay focused when no one claps? Because when you learn to do that, you become untouchable. You stop relying on validation. You stop begging for company. You become your own motivation, your own team, your own leader. That's when your world changes, quietly, powerfully, permanently. Sometimes doing it alone doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means building an inner world that doesn't collapse when others leave. It means finding joy in your own present, staking yourself for a drive, going for a run without music, sitting in a cafe without scrolling your phone. You start hearing your thoughts again. You begin to know what you actually want, and that's rare, because most people never meet themselves. They're always distracted by noise, and yes, it hurts. Growth always hurts. It's not about pretending you're fine, it's about accepting that pain is part of the process. When you lift weights, your muscles tear before they rebuild. When you study, your brain struggles before it learns. And when you grow emotionally, your heart breaks before it becomes wise. That's what doing it alone really means, allowing the discomfort to shape you instead of running from it. When you're alone long enough, something changes inside you. The noise fades, the opinions fade, and suddenly the voice that matters most, the one you ignored for years, starts to speak again. It says, "You're capable, you're strong, you've got this." And for the first time, you believe it. That belief, that quiet, steady confidence, becomes your power, By the time the world notices, it's too late. You've already become something they can't define. You've built peace, focus, and discipline from the silence they avoided. And that's what separates you. You didn't need applause. You didn't need validation. You built yourself. So when you're alone, don't rush out of it. Don't fill the silence too quickly, because that silence is where you'll meet your real self. Do it alone. That's how you grow. There's a point in everyone's life when silence becomes your best teacher. Keanu understood that early. While others chased crowds, he found peace in solitude. He didn't run from being alone, he walked into it. Because when you stand alone, the noise disappears, and what's left is you raw, real, unfiltered. That's where growth begins. In the quiet moments when nobody's watching, when you have to build yourself from the inside out. You see, independence isn't about rejecting people, it's about trusting yourself enough to move forward without permission. That's how you grow. When life breaks you, you don't wait for rescue, you rebuild. Brick by brick, pain by pain, and when you come out of it, you don't just survive, you transform, because real strength isn't loud. It doesn't need applause. It's built quietly in the moments of struggle that no one ever sees. Sometimes, solitude isn't a choice, it's what life forces on you. Keanu Reeves didn't choose to lose the people he loved. He didn't choose heartbreak or tragedy or the long nights where silence felt heavier than gravity. But he chose what to do with it. He turned pain into purpose. He turned loneliness into fuel. And in that decision, he discovered something the world rarely talks about, that the hardest moments in life are the ones that make you real. Everyone wants to grow, but nobody wants to face what growth actually demands. It demands loss. It demands discipline. It demands the courage to walk away from comfort and the people who no longer believe in you. And that's where most people stop, but not Keanu. When life stripped everything away, he didn't fall apart, he rebuilt himself from the ground up. You see, pain doesn't destroy you. It introduces you to who you really are. When you lose everything, you learn that your strength was never in what you owned, it was always in what you could endure. And Keanu, standing alone, found his truth in that silence. There's a reason solitude is so misunderstood. People think being alone means being lonely. But for those who have walked through darkness and survived, solitude becomes sacred. It's the place where your thoughts settle, where your emotions align, and where your purpose whispers back to you. Keanu once said, "Grief changes shape, but it never ends." And maybe that's the secret. You don't escape pain, you learn to live with it. You let it sculpt you into something unbreakable. Most people are terrified of silence. They drown themselves in noise, social media, distractions, fake validation, because silence makes them face the truth about who they are. But Keanu embraced it. He chose to walk a road where there was no applause, no spotlight, just the grind, the growth, and the grace of moving forward. And that's where the transformation happens, in the quiet moments when nobody believes in you, when your only company is your shadow. That's where resilience is born. There's a quote that fits him perfectly. The man who walks alone will likely find himself in places no one else dares to go. That's not arrogance, that's independence, that's courage, because when you stop waiting for someone to understand your vision, your journey becomes unstoppable. What if being alone was never a punishment, but a preparation? What if every heartbreak, every loss, every lonely night was life sharpening you for something greater? That's the truth most people miss. You are not supposed to be understood by everyone. You are not supposed to be accepted by everyone, because greatness is a lonely road, and the higher you climb, the fewer people you'll see beside you. Keanu's story teaches that walking alone doesn't make you broken, it makes you focused. It's the silence that allows you to hear your purpose. It's the pain that builds your patience. It's the isolation that forges your identity. And that's something the modern world has forgotten. We're living in a time where people crave connection but fear introspection. They want validation but not transformation. They want comfort, not courage, but you can't grow that way. You can't rise that way. He never screamed for attention. He never demanded recognition. He just lived, quietly, honestly, intentionally. And that's the rarest form of rebellion in today's world, staying kind, staying humble, staying human. When life hurts, most people look for escape. Keanu looked for meaning. That's the difference between surviving and living. Anyone can survive pain, but few can transform it into art, empathy, and inner peace. That's why people connect with him, not because he's famous, but because he's real. So here's the truth: being alone isn't your enemy. It's your training ground. Every great soul, every leader, every visionary walked through a season of silence. They learned to listen to themselves when the world went quiet. And that's where confidence is born, not from applause, but from self-trust. The world will always tell you that you need people to be happy, but the truth is you only need one person to believe in you. There was a time when I thought being alone meant something was wrong with me. I used to wonder why people drift away, why the world grows quiet after the noise fades. But over the years, I realized something: silence isn't a punishment, it's a classroom. And I was its student. When you walk alone long enough, you start to hear life differently. You stop chasing noise and start listening to meaning. You begin to notice small things: the way the morning air feels against your skin, the rhythm of your heartbeat when you're lost in thought, the way your mind clears when no one's around to tell you who to be. That's where I started to understand what growth really means. People often think that success comes from being surrounded by the right people, but sometimes you grow the most when you've got no one beside you. When you're forced to depend on your own strength, your own discipline, your own belief, that's when you meet the real version of yourself. I've spent years working in Hollywood, where everyone wants to be seen, everyone wants to be heard. But the truth, the strongest voice you'll ever hear is the one that speaks when you're alone. It's quiet, it's honest, and it doesn't lie to you. I remember nights when I'd walk through the city after filming, just to feel human again. No cameras, no crowds, no pressure to perform. Just me, the sound of my boots hitting the pavement, and the city breathing around me. Those were the moments I found peace, not on stage, not in front of the world, but in the stillness between heartbeats. And that's something I wish more people understood. Solitude isn't the absence of life. It's where life begins to make sense. There's beauty in doing things alone. You learn to trust your instincts. You learn to face your demons without hiding behind anyone else. You start to realize that no one can walk your path for you. People can inspire you, yes, they can support you, but in the end, it's your feet that have to move, your heart that has to believe, and your mind that has to decide: do I stop here, or do I keep going? I've seen people give up because they felt lonely. I've seen others use loneliness as fuel, and that's the difference. When life knocks you down, you either wait for someone to lift you up, or you teach yourself to stand. I chose to stand. I chose to walk alone, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. And over time, I realized something incredible. Walking alone doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're on a path that others can't see yet. Sometimes the road that looks empty is the one that leads to everything you've been searching for. Don't fear it. Walk it. You know, people often ask me what keeps me grounded after the fame, the chaos, the noise. The answer's simple: solitude, time with myself. It's in those quiet hours that I reflect, reset, and remember what matters. Because when you strip away the world's expectations, all that's left is who you really are. And who you are when no one's watching, that's your truth. I'm not saying it's easy. There are nights when loneliness feels like a shadow you can't outrun. There are mornings when getting out of bed feels heavier than lifting weights. But growth isn't supposed to be easy. Growth happens in discomfort. It's the silence between your fears and your faith that defines you. If you're alone right now, I want you to know something. It's okay. Don't rush to fill the silence. Don't chase people who don't understand your vision. Build yourself first. Learn your craft. Heal your wounds. Because when you come out the other side, you'll be unstoppable. That's the lesson life taught me. Don't wait for company to begin your journey. Walk one step at a time, even when the path is empty, even when no one believes in you, because that's where strength is born. That's where peace is found. That's where you become who you were meant to be, alone but alive. You know, I used to believe that being strong meant fighting the world. I thought I had to prove myself to critics, to strangers, to ghosts from my past. But somewhere along the way, I realized that real strength doesn't shout. It doesn't need to be seen. It moves quietly and leaves an impact that doesn't fade. When you walk alone long enough, you learn that power isn't about control. It's about peace, the kind of peace that can't be shaken, no matter what the world throws at you. That's what solitude gave me, the ability to stand still while everything else was moving fast. There's a certain clarity that comes with distance. When you step away from the noise, from expectations, competition, judgment, you start to see life for what it really is. You realize how much energy people waste trying to be understood by everyone. But the truth is, not everyone is supposed to understand you. Some people are just part of the noise you're meant to rise above. When I began to accept that, everything changed. The way I worked, the way I lived, the way I looked at people. I stopped chasing validation and started chasing authenticity. Because once you stop needing to prove yourself, that's when you become unstoppable. The world glorifies loudness, but it's the quiet ones who last. The ones who move in silence, work in peace, and let their results make the noise. I've seen people burn out trying to impress the world. I've seen others disappear for years, work on themselves, and come back stronger than ever. That's the kind of journey solitude builds, and you know what's beautiful. When you're alone, there's no one left to lie to. You can't fake your intentions in front of yourself. Every weakness, every flaw, every fear, it all shows up. But that's good, because once you face your truth, no one can use it against you. That's freedom. You learn that peace is not found in people. It's built in discipline. It's found in the way you carry yourself when nobody's watching. It's found in the moments you say no to distractions, no to drama, and yes to growth. Don't fear being unseen. The seed grows underground before it ever touches the sun. That's what solitude is, your season beneath the soil. When I look back, I realize that the most powerful moments in my life didn't come from crowds or cameras. They came from silence. The quiet mornings before a shoot. The late nights when I was broken but still chose to keep going. The times I smiled for no reason, just grateful to still be here. Those moments are invisible to the world. But they're everything to me, and maybe that's what growth really is, learning to love what no one else sees. I think everyone should spend time alone, not just to escape the world, but to understand it. To understand yourself, you can't love deeply, work honestly, or lead others if you've never learned to sit with your own silence. People run from being alone because they think it's emptiness. But solitude isn't empty, it's full of answers. In a world that keeps telling you to shout louder, post more, prove yourself, the quiet man becomes a mystery, and mystery is power. Because when you stop showing everything, the world starts wondering what you're made of. That's the beauty of solitude. You don't just grow, you transform. You stop reacting. You start observing. You stop chasing things that drain you and begin attracting things that align with you. People think success is about speed. I've learned it's about stillness. It's about moving with purpose, not pressure. And when you've learned to be alone, when you've built your peace with your own two hands, no one can take it from you. Because that's real strength, not the kind that flexes in front of others, but the kind that quietly carries its own weight, the kind that doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. There comes a moment when you stop running, not because you're tired, but because you finally understand what you were chasing all along. I spent years moving, filming, traveling, performing, thinking that motion meant progress. But real growth isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the moment you look in the mirror and realize you survived. When you learn to walk alone, something shifts inside you. You stop asking why me and start asking what now. The weight you once hated becomes your training. The silence you once feared becomes your meditation. The road that scared you becomes home. Cut to Keanu riding through an empty mountain pass, wind brushing his jacket, sun glinting on chrome. I remember a night when I sat by the ocean, the sky pitch black except for one star. I thought about everyone I'd lost, everything I'd endured, and I realized I was still here, breathing, learning, healing. That realization changed everything. Because once you know you can survive alone, nothing the world throws at you can break you. The world teaches you to seek comfort, but comfort dulls your edge. Solitude sharpens it. Pain polishes it. Every scar becomes a map of where you've been and proof of where you'll go. I stopped hiding mine. I started wearing them with quiet pride. Visual, close-up of hands, small scars catching light. Slow pullback to reveal Keanu smiling slightly. You see, when you walk alone long enough, the noise fades, and truth speaks. You start to feel grateful for the people who left, for the doors that closed, for the silence that once hurt, because all of it guided you here, to this peace, this balance, this stillness. Music builds softly, cinematic drone rises. The world will never fully understand solitude. It celebrates noise because silence scares it. But I've learned that silence is where you meet your soul. It's where you rebuild your purpose, brick by brick, breath by breath. There's freedom in not needing to explain yourself. There's strength in letting people misunderstand you. You don't owe the world an explanation. You owe yourself evolution. Hook music drops to a single piano note. Hook. Sometimes you have to disappear for a while. To return as someone the world no longer recognizes. Visual, Keanu walking into fog, cut to sunrise bursting through. That's what doing it alone really means. It's not isolation. It's incubation. It's the moment a seed breaks in the dark before it touches light. You might not see progress yet, but every breath, every step, every tear is part of your rebirth. So if you're watching this and life feels heavy, remember, pressure creates diamonds and silence grows strength. Don't rush your season underground, let it shape you. Montage, fans smiling, Keanu shaking hands with strangers, quiet laughter, city lights flickering to black. Because one day you'll look back and realize the lonely road wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Every moment you spent in the dark taught you how to shine without burning out. When you reach that point, when peace replaces validation, when purpose replaces applause, that's when you truly start living. That's when you stop being a reflection of what the world wants and start becoming a mirror of what it needs. Music swells, soft choir under strings. People ask me what keeps me going. It's simple, gratitude. For the pain that built me, for the silence that taught me, for the solitude that shaped me, I don't walk alone anymore because I have to. I walk alone because I choose to, and in that choice I've found everything I was searching for. Visual, Keanu standing on a cliff edge, wind lifts his coat, sun hits his face, he exhales, peaceful. So walk your road, even if it's empty, even if no one claps, keep walking, because every step you take alone is a step toward the person you're meant to become.